plane you just saw take off runs along here by the water because we're in Gibraltar. It's a very short runway. This is the camper stop at Gibraltar. There's no campsite particularly close. And it's at the marina. And although we're going to look into the sun in a minute, I apologise. There are loads and loads of motor caravans all lined up. There's ours. It's very early yet. I thought I'd do this while it's quiet because it gets very busy. We're actually going to move on now because Gibraltar really wasn't to our taste. Elizabeth and I didn't feel like it at all. It was almost like an overpriced theme park, sort of pretend Britain in the middle of Spain. We have been before about 35 years ago and I don't remember it being quite this bad, but in fact I wouldn't come back if I'd remembered it being this bad. But anyway, it's good that we've been. The rock is just behind the van, as you can see, and we'll move on. Right, just pulled into Tarifa and it's a bit windy, as you'd expect, as it's known as the windy coast, and we just parked up next to Lidl, which is shut because it's Easter Sunday. And I saw this, an Opel Blitz diesel from the early 60s, I'd say. Twin wheel, rear axle, long wheelbase, with what is essentially a caravan plonked on the back. Very rare vehicle, full stop. Even in Germany, I can't remember last time I saw an Opel Blitz of this era. And there you go, parked up in Tarifa. And where's he from, or she? Italy. It's an Italian Opel Blitz. Well, there you go. Even rarer. Well, I've not been to Tarifa before, but it's obviously been a heavily fortified port. There's lots of walls. There's a lovely entrance gate in the Muslim style with the keyhole entrance. So presumably there is an inscription there. Well, there we are. Regained from the Moors in 1292. So this gateway under walls obviously predate that by some time. Yeah. At the side of the main church, and the young men in white are going to be carrying well, I suppose you call it a statue. They're very large, as you'll see in one second. I'm not sure how well this will show up. It's a bit hazy today, but over there is Africa. Well, we moved in from the coast a bit. It's straight down there about 20 kilometres, and we're now at a place called Medina Sedona, which, as well as these old fountains coming out of the wall with its unsanitary water, as the warning sign says, there's a wonderful Moorish gate, undated, but it's got to be 13th century or so looking at it. And these walls are around the same time, but then further strengthened when the Christians turned up and took it off the Muslims. And I'm not sure how we're about to see it, but there's a carving in stone just up there in white, which is of a Knight of St. James, the Compostela saint, who is known in Spanish as Matamoros, the Moor killer. So presumably that was carved around the time that the town was liberated from the Moors. Anyway, it looks like a fascinating old place, and it isn't on any of the tourist maps that I can see, so another hidden gem as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to have a look around. Elizabeth just pointed out there is in fact a sign about this trough which says unsuitable for humans, and it was never designed for humans. It is in fact a huge cattle trough, a medieval cattle trough. And we did see quite a lot of cattle on the way in, on the plain by the sea, as in Plain, by the sea. So obviously this has been a cattle area from time immemorial. Some stunning tile work on a tower in the centre. This isn't actually the Church of Santiago, which is one signposted, and there doesn't seem to be any indication what this is, other than we're in the place of the cross. So probably a monastery. We'll go and try and find a sign, but very, very impressive tile work. It's a church. It's a historic and cultural building now, owned by the town hall of the town, in a Jesuit style from the 17th century. So there you go. And the images of the Virgin of the Victory. So again, a reference, I'm sure, to the Reconquista. It's a very nice old town, full of some impressive old buildings. Well, it's a beautiful town to wander through, it really is. And we've just discovered that its full name is Medina Sidonia. The Medina is obviously Arab in origin, but the Sidonia refers to Sidon, and the town was originally founded by the Phoenicians. So many centuries BC, and then after that you've had Romans, Visigoths, various Celtic tribes, then the Moorish conquest and the Christian conquest. So the place is absolutely steeped in history, and there are some Roman subterranean sections, including bits with depictions of Romans playing games, I believe, but it doesn't look like that's open, or at least we can't find it anyway. We've seen the sign, we've seen the pictures of it, but no indication of how you access it. And inside the, what I assume to be the town hall, a couple of 1st century Roman statues, both missing their heads, but pretty complete. Right, we found a Roman section, and my word, it's extensive. Just whole chunks of the villa, including the paving stones, which would have been the street, I assume. And then you won't be able to see this because the light's reflecting, but basically under the paving stones is a sewage system. So this section would have all been subterranean under the Roman villa. It's very, very cool, yeah. It's amazing, given how hot it is outside. It's very, very cool under here. And very large. I'm assuming this was all for food storage. It's unlikely to be a Roman mansion. This is the tunnel we saw the posters for. And it's very dark. Oh, in fact, so dark, I can no longer see anything. Oh my word. It goes on for a very long time. It must have gone on down that, we can't see anything. The camera's lost all light. Right. So, right.
Basically, it's the sewer.
So when we saw the small sewer under the glassworks when we came in, this tunnel system is actually part of the main sewerage underneath the villa above, but presumably also part of the main sewerage for the town. Now I'm 6 foot. I was taller when I was younger, but I'm 6 foot, and my head just touches the top, so it's big. I'm not having to crouch.
Narrow.
It's very narrow, yeah. I'm getting narrower. Oh, in fact, I can't get up there. So, and again, I'm not sure how well this will show up, but it narrows and rises steeply towards the end, and then that's it, it's finished. But above us are the paving stones, just like the ones we saw earlier. So this tunnel section must have collected sewage from several large villas. We moved on again, and now we're in another hilltop town called Arcos de la Frontera, which is quite a large town. Oh. Quite a large town in the new part, but the old part's perched on top of a very steep hill. And halfway up the hill, leaning out at quite a precarious angle, is this wonderful carved stone frontage. Judging by the statues at the top, medieval. Let's see what the sign says. Oh, it's a palace, 15th century palace. Wow. And then, having ascended a very steep hill and slightly breathless, you come across this magnificent edifice. It's wonderfully carved sandstone, but in a very squat building. Let's see if we can find out when this was built. Nope, no indication of age given on the outside at all. It looks religious, but with the crest of arms over the doors, which you may or may not be able to see from here, I suspect palatial. Let's see if there's anything around the other side. So what I was looking at on the other side isn't the front at all. This is the front and the main tower, and the church is built on the remains of a mosque, which I suggest is probably the older part we walked around before, because there are a couple of cupola domes on top, which is very Islamic, and there's an Islamic vase perched on top of there, presumably to give you an indication. So it seems to be a mixture of styles, age and usage, but very, very impressive. It's enormous. And then on the other side of the square, which we're heading for now, there's some sort of panoramic view. And on to our right, which we've completely missed on the way up, is what looks like a Moorish castle. So we'll try and get in there as well. So from the edge of the square, you see all this for miles and miles. In fact, I can see the wind farms in the distance, which are not that far out of Tarifa. So tens of kilometres. And then down there, where we'll go next, I think, is yet another church built on this outcrop below us. And over there, I don't know if the camera will be able to see, there is a bull ring sat on the side of the hill. What a view. Yeah, the board at the entrance says it's Muslim. Oh, and again it's shut. Everything's shut. Never mind. Right, once again, a very ornate front attached to a very square tower. Now, according to the little plaque, the church dates back to the 1500s, and it was built on top and partly with a Muslim fortress, which might explain why it's so solid and square, but once again, shut. Another hop down the coast and we're in the beautiful city of Cadiz. The oldest city in Europe apparently. Another beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, light breeze off the ocean, the palm trees are rustling. Lovely. Another huge cathedral plonked in the middle of town. Relatively devoid of ornate decoration, fairly simple for Spain, but an imposing building, still surrounded by all its bits from Easter. Cadiz Bay, a little breezy at the minute, but a beautiful day. And over there, there's an old fort reached by a bridge, which we're going to take a walk over and have a look at, as we visited there some years ago, so we're going to have another look. First, probably some lunch.